Wes, thanks for your time, man. We never met, but again, I'm just trying to get to know my neighbors. So I start with Wes. Where were you born and raised?
I was actually born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, nice. Were you raised with your mom and dad, or two?
Well, my biological mom and dad split up at about when I was 6 or so, and my dad had remarried right around my 7th birthday, and about a month after he remarried, my real mother passed away. So my stepmom, who had raised, her kids were already, graduating high school and everything. She had to re-raise 3 more kids, which was me and my 2 sisters, who were still, my sisters were like 12 and 13. So.
And what was the household like? Did you guys? What did you guys do?
It was like night and day. It was. I think I grew up, because my mom had, I guess you would, most custody, because I would go to my dad's on the weekend, and it was 2 different worlds, because with my mom, it was if you're hungry, go get a snack, or if you're you want to go out and play, obviously say something, but you can go out and play. And then it completely switched to my stepmom, who was very by the books, so to say, I guess.
Was she strict? Or just more
I hate
rural,
to say strict. Thinking of it now, I hate to say strict, but I guess she was more trying to raise us the right way. I think she was more, you're a kid, you still, there still are boundaries. You don't just go and get whatever you want and eat, be glutton and eat whatever you want, and, stuff like that. So it was totally different.
Different. And how old were you when your mom passed away?
I was 7 years old.
Oh,
so my dad had just remarried.
So you absolutely remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hard.
I mean, some of it's blurry.
Sure.
I won't act like I remember every bits and pieces, but yeah, for the most part, just old enough to remember enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just old enough. Yeah, my daughter's 7, going on 8. She's just right there. You're in Indianapolis at this time?
No, I live here now.
No, when you were like...
Oh, yes.
Your dad and your stepmom.
Yeah.
You're in Indianapolis. You go to high school?
I started out, I stayed in Indianapolis, and went through school and everything.
And tell me about high school. What was high school like for you?
A disaster. I was like a senior. Like, literally, my principal called me and my stepmom in, and said it was probably best that I drop out and get my GT because I was like a senior with like 2 credits or something.
Oh, okay.
I was rebellious, I guess. But at the same time, I kind of hated like being told, oh, you're just having a hard time because of your mother, and like I hated hearing people blame everything on the passing of my mother and this and that. That stuff drove me crazy. Because, obviously, as a kid, I don't fully understand, the depth of it, but
right.
like, I don't feel like I did what I did because of her.
Yeah, right.
or her passing, for that matter.
So did you get your GED or?
Yeah, I actually
nice.
continued kind of being rebellious and was locked up and got my GED while I was locked up, and
Gotcha.
for the most part had it together.
Yeah.
It seemed like that's how it was. It was like I had it together for a few months, and then everything started going down the drain.
Gotcha. So let's see. You're 17. You're locked up. So that you're a juvenile.
Yeah.
And so you get out, and then where does life lead you?
Well, I was actually literally 17 and was in trouble at 17 with not even 2 months until I turned 18, and had a charge where they wanted to send me what Indiana calls is boys' school, and which is like juvenile prison here. And they didn't send me, but luckily. But what was the question?
I was just saying, after that, where do you go when you're 17, 18, your late teens, early 20s?
Well, I think things got worse. I was experimenting with, alcohol on the weekend and drinking, smoking weed, and I ended up. My parents my dad and my stepmom kind of just gave up and just said, we can't, have you here, taking our things and, all that type of stuff. So they kind of, in a way, kicked me out,
right.
And in a way I left.
Right.
But as that was going on, I was I don't know if I was about 17 when I had tried heroin, and it wasn't pushed on me. It wasn't, nobody forced me or said, hey, come do this or any of that. It just became available, and I tried it. And from day one, though, there was no snorting it, or there was none of that. From day one, it was the needle.
Yeah.
And I guess that was kind of just much of the addiction than the actual heroin. And
tell me more about that. You mean like the needle itself, like the injection part?
Yeah.
Like that was part of what you liked?
The euphoria, yeah, I guess you can say.
Of like poking wherever you poked. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I don't know if you're taking it exactly how I'm saying it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the process.
The entire process.
The entire process.
Gotcha.
Like literally, I could be sick, and as soon as I would have dope in my hand, I would feel better.
Right. Gotcha.
And like that.
I see.
And I ended up staying couch surfing, and then I went and I got the dumb idea to rob a pharmacy, and I robbed a pharmacy outside Indianapolis, but it was the town that my grandma lived in, and my half-sister knew the sheriff of the town, and they seen me on the news, and because they were worried about me. immediately, you know, tried to turn me in and everything. And, you know, they ended up giving me 7 years for that. So I was in prison for 7 years from 2012 to 2019. And I guess, like, I got on my last, like, 3.5 years, I got on a prison pen pal site. Weird story, but I ended up getting a letter from a chick from Vancouver, BC, and her roommate was studying criminal justice and something to do with an assignment or something. Her roommate asked her to write one person with her that was on the pen pal side or whatever to kind of find out about the judicial system in other countries or whatever.
Right.
And she wrote me, and for the last 3.5 years she wrote me almost every day, and
Wow.
she sent me pictures and video visited me. And the week I actually got out of prison, she was in Indiana. She flew to Indiana, and obviously, no matter how wealthy she was or not, that's expensive flying back and forth. And me being, you know, her knowing that I have no money, so she's paying for everything, and we're staying in Airbnbs, and, you know, 2 or 3 times a month, staying for, you know, 5 to 6 days at a time. And she was the marketing manager of Motorola, and the headquarters for Motorola is in Chicago, so we would take advantage of that, and I would ride the bus over to Chicago and stay in the Linden House Hilton off of Motorola's money. But then I started slipping up, and I kept it a secret for a while.
So as you're seeing this person, you were sober?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I was welding. I had a job welding and everything. I had it all figured out. Like, I thought I had it all figured out.
Yeah.
And then,
Sorry, I interrupted. You said
I
you started
started slipping up a little bit.
Yeah.
And even though I seen it, like, it was like I couldn't stop it. Like, I was like, oh, it's just a phase. You know, I'm still going to work every day. I'm still doing this. I'm still doing that.
Still functioning, right?
Yeah, but the one thing I didn't have under control was, what was I gonna do when shit got rough, when things got hard, when I had to work all week just to get my paycheck away, you know, shit like that. And I still tried to, you know, to kind of hide it from her, because she's, you know, drugs not an option for her. And so I called my parents and I said, you know, I don't want to do no 12 steps, or no, you know, NA meetings, or no rehab, or no detox. I was like, I just want to be with my, you know, with family and get over this.
So you called them just for help?
Yeah.
To say, like, hey, take me in?
And at the time they were living in Ohio, because her parents were really sick at the time. And actually her parents had just died, and they had bought a condo, and she even like spent a lot of the money that she was getting from her dad was really one of the higher ups at Procter and Gamble. I don't know if you know what that is, but they make like Crest toothpaste and all that stuff.
Giant company.
And and they were wealthy, but she told me that I went ahead and went there on a Friday, and that was at the hotbed of the pandemic. That's when Washington had the most cases. So I was like, I was talking to her on the phone, and she's like,
if you're not here when I come back, I'll head by your house.
what better time than now? The plan was, once I got off parole, to come as close as I could to her, so it was easier.
To stay, right?
And she can stay here legally 6 months out of the year.
Oh, gotcha.
And she could immediately stay here and help me and, make sure I was staying away from, the negative shit or negative stuff. And she came and picked me up from the airport, and the day after, or the next morning, we were watching the news, literally the next morning, and the Prime Minister of Canada and the Donald Trump at the time announced that they were closing the border and that all U.S. citizens and all Canadian citizens need to come home.
Right.
And it was like that for 2 years. And I didn't see her for 2 years. Of course, we tried to talk, and she, was pretty much willing to do anything as long as I would stay sober. And it's hard to do here. It's
So when you're here in Seattle, when you came, were you housed, or you just?
I was. Yeah, when I came, that's what I was saying. My stepmom used a lot of money that she had inherited to help me out.
Gotcha.
Like a lot. And even when I moved here in March of 2020, and they helped me with everything. They knew I didn't have anything. I had just gotten out of prison. I spent my whole 20s in prison. I couldn't even have told you how to file taxes or any of that stuff. So, they were helping me with everything. But they where was I going with that? They were, you helped me with everything, but then my dad gave me the money for a down payment for an apartment, which was 14th and Yesler, and it was like $1,400 for a micro studio with a shared kitchen, and it was ridiculous. And it was during COVID, so I could have got by with not paying rent, but all that would have been one lump sum at the end, I know. But
so at this time, are you using or?
Well, literally my Airbnb was at First and Pike.
And like earlier, you said it's really hard to stay.
And when I admitted to my family that I was using, and I just wanted to be around family and get clean, we all thought that she was going to pick me up from the airport, and I was going to be with her from, for however long. But that's not what happened. She left the next day, and I was probably high that night.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And as much as I say, I don't like to blame, death of family or death of, I guess more so taking responsibility for my own, mistakes. I don't like to say, I do what I do because, my family or whatever the case may be. But yeah.
So you're in Ballard now. Where are you staying now? You mentioned
Well,
earlier that you were kind of in the transition place.
Yeah, I'm at the Navigation Center.
And what is that place again?
It's kind of like a transitional housing thing. They what they do is they give you, a place to stay. Obviously, 3 meals a day. They give you, a bed, a place to keep, most of your belongings, and then you get a case manager, which is huge because they, can help you. In my situation, I've never had a Washington ID, and somebody stole my wallet with my Social Security card, my birth certificate, my ID, everything. So they can help me get that. But it's like, I don't know, Seattle has no structure with the housing. I guess with how they're placing people. It's like, they say they're going with, the high risk people, and I mean, who's high risk and who's not? I mean, obviously there's the obvious high risk people, but like, I've been on the streets here for, it was 3 years before they even offered me anything, and literally they offered me by pulling up to a encampment and saying, "There's 2 beds in the nav, who wants them?" That's how they asked me.
Raise your hand or something?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a complicated crisis, I'd say.
Yeah.
Wes, is there anything you'd want to say to the people of Seattle?
I mean, maybe not even just Seattle, I feel like, people have a stigma around addiction, and, they feel like, or maybe not just addiction, maybe, homelessness, and obviously a lot of that comes with addiction, but, there are a lot of homeless people who don't even get high. But I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say, because, I mean, I'm like, I got like all 3. I'm it's like homeless, it's like felon, drug addict, so, I can't even walk into a store without getting followed. I can't even, and I get that that's their job, to profile people. I mean, that's what they're supposed to do. If they feel like somebody's, had a chance of stealing something or whatever, they run with that. But I don't know, if I was to say anything to people of Seattle, I would say, not all of us are saying that we don't get it, like, because this isn't okay, this isn't normal. Where I'm from, this isn't a thing. So I get it, and I get why you wouldn't want your streets like this, and I get why, you may have some type of, I don't want to say hatred, but dislike towards, a lot of us, but, some of us mean well, and, it takes time.
Yes.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Well, thanks, Wes. I appreciate your time, man. Real quick, tell me about your tattoo on your neck.
On one side it says, "Please forgive me for my sinful ways." And the other side says, "Easy to dream it, harder to live it." It's lyrics to a song, but it's kind of like, like what I live my life by. It's easy to, dream
Yeah.
You know, big, you know, mansion and all this and that, and it's a lot harder to live it.
Fantasy is perfect in your mind.
Yeah.
Reality is much different.
Yeah.
All right, man. Sweet, man. Thanks for your time.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm gonna grab that little mic from you.
Oh.
Here, you got it. And I'm gonna grab a couple photos.